Hi, I've become pretty premature with my wife. Now, you know what he means by premature. He is finishing sooner than he would like to, and he's super embarrassed about it. This is an embarrassing thing. It's not only embarrassing, but it can cause issues long term with your partner because your partner can get severely frustrated with this. I mean, I've seen this interfere with relationships on a variety of levels. So it's important, and we need to talk about it. I don't know how to be in control of it, and I need help. Signed, Ken. So, Ken, thank you for being brave. Thank you for your question. And just know that by asking this question, you're helping a bunch of other people. Now, the first thing that I want you to think about, and the best part about this question is he said he's become pretty premature, which to me means that in the beginning, maybe things weren't quite this premature. So when premature ejac hits you and you are actually it's a little later in the game. It's not something that you were dealing with ever since you were a kid. Now, what we know is that we need to work on strengthening the pelvic floor. We need to help you be able to control it manually. So you may not be able to control it mentally, right? Because mental is a whole nother thing, but we may be able to help you control this manually. And what do I mean by manually? I'm not talking about squeezing and using your hands, but I'm actually talking about training yourself so that you can squeeze down and bear down long enough to actually keep your premature ejac from actually even happening. But it really boils down to first thing, strengthening your pelvic floor, making sure that the muscles that have to contract are strong enough to stay the course, right? So that goes back to doing the dick ups. Squeeze and hold until you're maxed out and release. Squeeze and hold again until you're maxed out. Squeeze and hold again until you're maxed out. Now, what you're actually squeezing are your pelvic floor muscles. So you're kind of cutting off, trying not to pass gas, right? And holding that like that for as long as you possibly can and letting that max out. So that's one thing. The other thing you've got to think about when premature ejaculation sets in a little later in the game is what is your prostate doing? Is your prostate healthy? Are there other symptoms associated with the premature ejac? Are some of the other symptoms, having hesitancy or not being able to hold your urine, things like that, having to push your urine out, things like that. So all of that could signal weakened prostate, weakened pelvic floor. And then if this were something that you were dealing with your whole life, then we would start thinking about neurotransmitters. Yes, the signals or the nerve signals that are happening within the brain and the erectile tissue that have to do with ejaculation really weigh strongly on serotonin, dopamine, and oxytocin. And I can do a whole 2-hour presentation on premature ejac, right? Because there's so many different ways to think about it. But when you're thinking about it in terms of what can I be doing today and tomorrow and the next day to decrease my risks of having it, you always want to start with pelvic floor strengthening, and then you want to train yourself. And when I say training yourself, this is more of an edging process. This is where you're actually training your erections to last longer under certain conditions, right? One of my favorite sexologists that's come through the Dr. Rachael Institute is, um, it spends a whole lot of time teaching his clients on how to train themselves. Now, this is Stephen Smith. And what he does is he advocates that not only do you practice so that you can last longer, but you actually practice with toys. Yes, that you would get a latex doll or a latex vagina or latex anus or latex mouth or whatever have you, and that you would actually practice to last longer. And what you do is you practice to the point of almost going, and then you stop and you calm down and you try again, right? And the biggest thing about training yourself for something like this is that you want to train yourself in the positions that you're worst in, right? So if you are really bad on your back, that's the position you want to train yourself in. If you're really bad standing up, that's the position you want to train yourself in. Training yourself to last longer is just like training yourself for a marathon, right? If you're going to go run a marathon and you know you're not a sprinter, you're not a runner, you're not a long distance person, you just don't run at all, what do? You start training. You turn to somebody who could potentially help you train for a marathon, or you get on YouTube and find out how to train for a marathon. Training for sexual contact is no different, but you do have to train. You have to put the energy in it. I do not want to see you say, oh gosh, I'm not lasting very long, and then avoiding it. I want you to say, oh gosh, I'm not lasting any longer. How can I train this away? And really, it's a process similar to edging, but you are going to involve positions that you normally like to be in, but maybe not that great in. And in the meantime, while you are working on lasting a little longer, you want to figure out, okay, so which positions do I not last very long in, right? Okay, so here's what we do. We got a favorite position, and you may not last very long in it, but you still go do it. Listen, if it's your favorite position, you don't last very long in it, save it for last. Or guess what? Don't do it at all. Focus on a position where it's really hard for you to finish in, and that will give you momentum and time. The other thing that you want to do while you work to correct it is you want to understand that your partner should be begging you for it before you put it in. And what I mean by that is if you wait until your partner is damn near finished before you, then guess what? You don't have to last as long, right? So you got to use smoke and mirrors until you can stay the course, okay? So I hope that helps, but honestly, you got to work on your pelvic floor and you got to work on your prostate. And one of the things when gentlemen come in and they've just developed premature issues, one of the first things that we look at is prostate. Do we need to start doing a prostate massage? Do we need to do an external prostate massage or perhaps an internal prostate massage? External prostate massage is easier on gentlemen that never thought about it. And what you're actually doing is you're putting the prostate massager on the exterior of the prostate and you're sending vibration frequencies and sonic waves through. Or do we need to focus on internal prostatic massage so that we can reach the prostate and potentially strengthen it? Because see, what happens is we don't talk about it enough. The prostate is actually a filter. It is designed to help filter out things that aren't supposed to be there. And like any filter, sometimes it can get clogged and sometimes it can get weakened and sometimes it needs to be stimulated a little bit. Okay? So great. Awesome.